Напоминаю, что вы можете общаться с участниками конференции. Напишите потенциальному партнеру или инвестору и договоритесь о встрече. Сделать это можно в разделе «Участники». Все очень просто. Зайдите во вкладку «Чаты» и проверьте, стоит...
You can communicate with the participants. Just check in your account that I want to communicate with the participants, or if you want just to listen the lectures without any communication, then remove this tickle. And you can send your messages with the button Ask a Question. And don't forget to share your opinion in the comments and to assess the presentations of our speakers. And we're now going to our program. Two main advantages of the HR. This is the speed of processing the data and reduction of the human error. So two main benefits of digital HR. This is the speed of data processing and reduction of the human error, which is very important in the deficiency of the qualified staff. One, how to analyze the data, what is corporate genetics, how it can improve the industrial processes. All of this we'll know from the session Digital HR, the deep changes in corporative analysis, in control and recruitment. I am giving the floor to our moderator, Alexander Galamov. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear colleagues. Thank you that you visited us today, that you came to us. Some of you is online, the other is offline. You know, the weather is not so favorable to come here in person. I'll be with you today. My name is Alexander Galamov, and I represent the University 2035. My colleague is Alexander Kireev, and he helps me to bring to the market, to release to the market, the highly technological product. And today we try to somehow a little bit pass from the standard forms. We'll try to have a discussion. If you have any questions, please, you can put them in chat. If there are any questions from the audience, we'll answer them. So, Alexander, please tell us what you have come to with what issues, what technologies you use in this, nice word, digital, specifically in HR, and what we can show to our colleagues online and to those who are with us personally. Good day, dear friends. Yes, digital transformation is deeply touched upon all aspects of the activity in business, including the management of the human resources. This is rather, maybe not very strict statement, and it's rather complicated thing. If we can connect it with the other instruments or practices, what does it mean, this digital transformation? How it impacts business? How can it be used, these digital technologies in business, in our HR management? I try to show it to you and using simple words. And maybe we can touch upon some of the instruments, tools that we use, for you to see it visually, to see how it works. University 2035, we have our own digital IT department, and they work on different technologies, and we have three categories of products. The first category, these are our technological portfolio, several tools that we use in advisory for consultations. Second category, that's nearly products, the tools that are well developed, well established, and they can be used autonomously without a man. Semi-ready products, practically ready. And the third category, these are ready products, and I show today. One of them will be released to the market very soon, and I show you how it works. Now I show my screen, and I'll speak in detail about our technological portfolio. First of all, these are the technologies that do not work without consulting. We need a person, an expert, the one who will apply these technologies, or should be accompanied by the expertise. Number one is this digital model of competence. And this is the set of very complicated algorithms. To put it in simple words, this is a system that allows the user to understand where the market moves, the market of professions. What is it? Modern professions, how they're interrelated with each other, how they're going to be changed in future. This model is it has been tested many times. According to the order of Ministry of Labor, we developed the professional standards for the machine operators. There were some other projects, and they proved that this is absolutely applicable model. What is behind this model? Model takes data from the market. This system is connected with different websites of the large companies, large corporations, where they take vacancies, job descriptions, mainly related to the IT professions, although it can cover all professions, as IT is very easily to classify. And then we start with the IT field. So communities, different online editions. We take content from there, we analyze this content, and then we group it in a certain way to see what are the competences, then the subject fields, how they are interrelated, and to form the data that are later sent referred to. Here it's rather difficult structures, semantical analysis, ontology, different links. So here we apply a rather deep and complicated structure, and as a result, the main business value of this model, you can send the request to this system on a certain professional, on a set of professional fields, for example, and you will get what competences the specialist must have in this way, like a table. What tasks should be performed by this specialist? This is the standard of the operator of the machine learning. What tasks should be performed, knowledge, requirements, and what practical skills this operator must have. So it all covers the total spectrum of the competences. Thus, we can see a kind of portrait that can be used when you select candidates, when you compile professional standards, and for the other tasks. So this is a tool. Also, we use these technologies to create, to make the models or samples of what's happening in the market, because the data, how the labor market develops in Russia, in what direction it moves, it's rather difficult to get this, to obtain them from the open sources. You can follow this link, this reference, register, and then it is open. You can take data about the condition of the labor market, what specialists are required, and in what regions. Just a simple example. The company needs some number of specialists in machine learning, for example. And you have to understand how to focus your recruitment, your selection, and where, in what regions you can find such specialists. For example, you want to train your own people. It means that you need young people of this very narrow specialization. You can use this service, and you can find in what regions these specialists exist, young specialists, and start to working on this task. This is one of the examples. With the help of this service, you can rather deeply diversify your activity, your interaction with the market, because all data that you can find in the market, this service has, and thus you can concentrate on solving your task. Next, It's closer to product. We plan to release this product next year. This is the analytics of the organizational structure or corporate culture. It was always traditionally the field of consulting, the analysis of the corporative culture. It's rather expensive. It's a long process, time-consuming process. Specialists spend a lot of time and efforts on this. They have to prepare the certain questionnaire. So it was not mobile, it wasn't done operatively, and it was rather close. So we want to bring this service to the market as an absolutely automized service that can express or show the culture of the company. They also can analyze how the activity of the company is organized, norms, standards, approaches to solve different tasks. Depending on the specifics of the activity, because you understand that the organizational structure of the accountant department or marketing or IT department will be different. And the system has to take all of this into consideration. And then the system of values that we can observe in the employees. So these are the aspects that the system should close, as we understand. And thus it was developed. I want to draw your attention to the approaches that exist today in terms of analytics of the organizational culture, this well-known methodologies that some of them are not acceptable for us because, for instance, one of them has about 8 parameters, and we think it's not enough. It's insufficient because we perform automized service. Maybe it can be applicable if there is a consultant, the one who will explain you everything, show you everything, and is able to characterize different phenomena that exist in the company. But there is no person who can explain this. It means that all facts that are registered by the system must be deeply analyzed. Thus, we developed our own system and our methodology that consists of 44 criteria. 44 criteria, 8 and 4, you could compare 44 criteria that fully open the organizational structure using different macro structures. So this is how the training is organized, then the culture and values. This is the cultural aspects, and next, interaction between the professional teams. So these macro levels, they cover all these 4 aspects, and then they be further split it. Thus, we have 44 parameters that can be visualized. It's rather difficult statistical picture. You can see, you can look here and identify the departments or cultural phenomena that we analyze and to perform benchmarking in order to compare one department with the others. But to simplify, we integrate it into this product that text that tells you what happens in the company and all statistical facts that we can find on these tables. If there are no ability to go deeper into this, then this text engine will tell you everything by words. For example, in a company, there exists practice. Good works according to standards. Standardized actions are greeted, and this is part of the company's culture. At the same time, non-standard solutions are not well accepted, well approved. What does it tell us? High discipline, but at the same time, we see experiment and search for some novelties may suffer. So thus, we receive practically the full characteristic of the organizational culture of the company. I think it's very useful because it allows you to analyze the culture in general, which is not a very often practice. Also, it's important when the new leader comes and wants to understand what happens, whom he can use as a support, and then you can start the reforms at the proper moment moment when you have to inform, is it really the proper moment to start information about the certain events. Cases that can be used for this system, there are rather many of them. And drawback of these tools, and we feel it sharply, we want to replace them in the market. Yes, Alexander, you can move on to the next slide. It's so interesting, your story. So I have some doubts even. 44 parameters you mentioned. What for? Companies, corporations, they need this corporate genetics. I'm as a leader of a company, how can I use it? And what will I gain because of this? For instance, I have two departments. They work, they do something. There are people, my employees work there. I will apply your tool. So what will I get in the long run? Good question. To make this tool useful, you just have to develop to a certain level. For example, at the first glance, we do have, the sales plans with some middle-sized business or large business, and we have plan of sales, and we just have to understand whether we implement it or not, fulfill it or not. But we cannot see the answer why. We have to go one level deeper in order to give the answer to this question. Then we have to look at the procedures to understand whether we have correct processes, how the departments interact, and so on and so forth. We look at the processes and we say it's okay, because we ourselves were developing these processes, but they do not work. Or the other thing, everything is written properly, but there's no result. Then we go one level deeper, still deeper, and we ask a question. Why? Everything is written properly, but nothing works. We have the sanctions if you are not following the rules, but the rules do not work, or the rules quite differently. Everything is good, but people are not proud of what they're doing, and they're not boasting how fantastically their company works. Maybe a high loyalty level of the employees, but no enthusiasm, so there may be a lot of tasks. It means that, a matter of fact, in the results, if we achieve the understanding that we really need it, then we have to go to the basic level where we begin to work with, with the teams, with the employees, with the managers. When we become aware of the fact that we have the certain values and we have the certain goals or aims, and we understand them differently, managers and employees may understand them differently. And this is, again, this is the matter of conscious attitude, of awareness, of being conscious about this. We have to, if you order a consulting company to help you, it's not so easy and not so comfortable. You just order the services, and it's a starting point then to work in the mode of control and changes. So to perform control and start changes. I mean, as I understand, it's a good tool for the leadership, for the management team, that will allow to change or to improve the processes within the company. Yes, to impact them in practice. We do have some practices, and we can impact them. Next group of tools, or set of tools, it's not just one tool, it's rather complicated set of tools, and to present it as a kind of how to put it, maybe it's a cause or reason or pretext to do something in a way of game that will be simple and can be efficient, although there is very, complicated technological basis. So it's a set of tools that help you to work with the team. What are the specific features of the teams? Because we quite often forget about this. To work more efficiently. Some of them work more and the others less efficient. And we have to identify the leaders, we have to promote them, that there is a fact which is not taken into account quite often. The fact that tell us that, for instance, we have a team of 5 people, and the one who is highly efficient employee, his efforts are lost in a team with 10 persons. And within the team of 10 persons, we don't understand who is efficient, who is not. This is one thing. Another thing, the low efficient
такие, ну, я сейчас на английский перейду, low
low,
performer, да, то есть
low performance
люди с низкой
performers
эффективностью
with the low
часто,
efficiency,
в
low
зависимости от
performers,
задач, так, некоторые задачи
quite
выполняют
often,
лучше, у них
depending on
высокий
the
эффективность.
tasks, they're
Это
better than
очень
the high
часто
performers.
высокоэффективные сотрудники
Why?
склонны
Because high
переоценивать свои
performers
силы
they
и недооценивать
very
риски.
often
Сотрудники, которые
overestimate
привыкли к тому,
their,
что им надо долго
their skills and
ставить задачи,
underestimate the
настраивать
risks.
электронные
And but the
решения,
others,
подключаться и
low
так далее, они себя
performers, those who
недооценивают. Эти
need more
сотрудники,
time
наоборот,
to
склонны
enter
переоценивать
into the
риски и
task,
задачи определенного профиля.
they are
И очень
inclined
хорошо
to
получается именно у них,
overestimate
потому что они
risks. And it's
все даже могут
sometimes it's
делегировать.
better to
То есть
delegate
таким
the
образом
tasks
для
to
нас
them.
актуален
Thus,
вопрос
for
работы с
us,
командой,
it's a
да,
relevant
потому что лидеры
issue
это
how
хорошо,
we
но важно
interact with the
понять, как
team.
двигаться
Leaders is
настроить
good, but we have to
какие люди
understand
ходят в
the
команде,
links
как
between
они
the
уживаются
people
друг с другом,
inside the team, how they
насколько
live with each other, how they
этот,
interact, and whether
ну,
this
модус vivendi, да,
modus
способ
vivendi,
жизни, который у них
yeah, modus vivendi that they have chosen, that they form within the
И вот мы
team,
именно
whether it
делаем
is
ставку
efficient or
на
not.
изучение,
Okay.
на изучение команд,
Here we
именно
focus
командные
on the
задачи, они
study
обязательно
of
написать.
team
И вот
tasks,
здесь есть несколько
not
инструментов,
individual
которые
ones. And here we have several instruments
это
to be
и
applied,
там, конечно,
including
известный Big Five, и роли по
Big
Бертону,
Five,
и избегание
methodology,
ожидания, вот эти вот
expectation of
аналитические
avoiding, and other
способы,
analytical
которые
instruments
мы
that
упаковываем в систему, которая делает
later
это
we pack into
автоматически, выкладывает
systems and then
статистику
they
значений для того,
automatically
чтобы получить
present the
цвет команды в
statistics.
моменте.
Why do we do this? Because
Выглядит
thus
это
we
вот
can have a
такой
picture of the
универсальной системой.
work at each
Поставить
present
оценку
moment,
команде,
and
почему эта
thus we
команда
can
хорошо все
evaluate
лучше,
a
чем
team
другая. Да?
and say
Там,
which one is
нет, у нас
better.
это слишком сложная
But this would
вещь,
be
слишком
too
сложный организм, поэтому
difficult.
я думаю, что это
It's
было бы
a
не очень
complex
научно.
organism and it wouldn't be very
Такой продукт бы
scientific.
появился, он был бы
Although I'm
востребован. Но это
pretty
не очень
sure
научно.
that a
Мы
product like this
скорректировали
would have
срезы
been in
командных
demand.
команд и
So anyway,
показываем,
we
что
just studied the
сейчас там рядом происходит. И с
team
точки
at
зрения
the
коммуникации, и
certain
с точки
period of
зрения ранения,
time,
и
if there is
конфликтов, и
everything is good in terms of
деструктуризации команд.
communication,
И вот здесь вот
distribution
как
of
раз
work,
есть
conflicts,
несколько
and so
инструментов,
on. And
которые
here we have several
помогают нам
instruments that help us to build
360 картинку или 3D
a
картинку, если угодно.
picture, a 3D picture, 360
Роли, проектная деятельность, как они
360
приоритизируют
degrees picture.
в
Here,
зависимости от своих задач,
depending
делают
on
с
the
командой и так
tasks,
далее.
we evaluate
На
whether
этом,
the team has been well
слайде
established
у
or
нас
not. Here on this
360
slide,
в зависимости
we
от
have
функционала
360-degree
людей, которые, то
evaluation
есть
depending on
как люди
the
связаны с
functions,
задачами.
on the way
Здесь у
people
нас
are
как люди
related
связаны с
to
задачами,
tasks,
как они
how
коммуницируют
they
друг с другом.
communicate
То есть
between
мы
each other.
одни и те же данные
So one
можем
and the same
зарекомендовать
data can be
достаточно
presented in
высокой
different way.
культурой работы с
So
данными.
it's why I'm
Потому что
talking
мы
about a
берем,
high
казалось бы,
level of
данные из
work
одних и тех же
with
источников и можем
data.
выстраивать по-разному, смотреть разные срезы и анализировать с разных
We
сторон.
can watch
И
different
фундаментальный
layers,
тренд
analyze them in a
замечательно
different way. It
демонстрируем.
can
Из
be
этого
about
делается вывод.
communications,
Соответственно,
functions.
это более
We
высокий
turn
уровень
this
анализа.
into a high-level
Таким образом, вот
analysis.
этот вот матчинг
Thus,
внутри команд, то есть то, насколько
here
люди
we see how people within a
друг друга
team
подходят в своей
fit each
деятельности
other in their activities,
тем конкретным задачам, которые они
whether
решают.
they
Вот
are
этот
good at
матчинг, он
tackling
позволяет
certain
понять, насколько
tasks
эта
that they
команда
have. This
гармонична или
allows us
гармонична
to
или не
understand whether
гармонична.
this team is
Бенчмаркинг, то есть сравнить
complying with each
отличия
other,
происходят. Да?
their
Потому что
relation to the standout benchmark.
если взять просто статистику,
So
да, там,
if you just have
количество
a look at the
задачек, задачи и
statistics
качество задач,
and
потому что
the
непонятно,
quality
почему
and
так
quantity
происходит.
of
Для того, чтобы
tasks,
понять,
it's not
почему,
clear why
нужно
this
идти
is
вот в эти
happening.
стороны.
If you want to understand why, then you need
Так,
our tool.
вот это, в общем, все об инструментах. Я
Супер.
останавливаю
А ты пока
показ.
Great,
переключаешь?
great. Well, while you are switching the slides, I want to ask you a quick question. Let's
Все рассказал, спасибо большое.
recap this.
Правильно я понимаю?
It was a wonderful presentation, but do I get it right that if I'm a company, a head of the company, and this instrument that you've shown us on the last 3 slides allows me to do the following, I can understand how my employees are competent, how well they communicate,
Это были те сотрудники,
and
которые
those were the employees that have certain skills.
этот граф,
And by having a look at these interaction graphics, I can understand
в принципе,
how efficient
который внутри
the
протекает. Правильно я понял?
models that we use are.
В целом,
Is
да.
that right? Yes, right in general, yes.
Ну, вообще вот эти данные, чем они хороши, можно вообще
Yeah, so these data
потому что
is great because you can understand what's going on.
ну, ты знаешь, что в рамках университета 2035 у нас
Because
есть навигатор,
within 2035 University, we have a navigator
где можно
with ideas of startups. You can see these instruments
ну, и как бы
applied,
провести вот эту
and
аналитику вживую.
you can carry out this analytical work in person, because you cannot enter a cooperation with an experimental tool. So the question is simple. If I want to apply this system, if I upload all the data that is needed, can I, for the better course, of course, streamline the work within a company? If I, for example, eliminate those non-efficient people who do not communicate with others, like when they have as a duty to communicate with others, but for some reason they don't, would I be able to do that? It's a good question. Yes, but under a certain condition. First of all,
инструмент. Ты удивишься, ты
when you
узнаешь,
use this instrument for the first time, you'll know what's happening. You'd be surprised, because before
значит,
that,
ты полагал, что все
you
происходит иначе.
thought
Но
that
ты увидишь то, что
things work differently, but then you'll see that people work on different tasks, not on the task they are supposed to work on. You'll see a different picture. And later, this is happening within the company. You need the results. You need these results to be processed and be linked to the business procedures and objectives. And we do this. We have our own metrics, time, load, and so on.
Кстати, в следующем, то, что я сейчас покажу, Digital HR, да, мы как раз работаем с метрикой time to hire.
As for the digital HR, we always work with the metrics. Time to time, there's information on the personnel and the way it affects each other. So the main question on the market is how to find people or team that I want to hire. There is shortage of personnel, training, and whom to hire. Please show us.
Да, это интересная штука. Тут реальность заключается в следующем.
So here's the reality.
Специалист, рекрутер работает с...
When experts work with CVs, and this is a standard procedure, it's painful because you have to go through many CVs. And these are simple things and takes up too much time. But here, we, with the help of competence models, what I said at the outset, we developed a product that allows you not to have a look at CVs, or at least you'd have to look at them less than used to did. So this is on the hiring based on competences and skills. It's called civilian.
Слово CV, наверное, правильно?
So it's derived from the word CV. Yeah, but we'd rather think about Sevilla rather than CV because it's easier to think of vacation. So this is a generator. There is a generator of vacancies. To understand whether we need a certain employee, we need to describe a vacancy in a good way. Unfortunately, it happens quite often that the group is not always in contact with the client or with the lead or the head of the team. So quite often he lacks knowledge or competences in IT, let's say. It's an example. He doesn't have in-depth competences to assess the difference in subject fields, and that's all right. And the machine helps to do that, and I'll tell you how. The engine ranks the contenders, so you don't have to look at all of these CVs and just trying to understand which one complies more with your requirements. And then this is the validation of knowledge, which allows you to test. And for certain positions, you can switch it off, for example, for developers. But this has to do with the testing of knowledge, and this is quite rational. The product, by the way, this is a demo for you to understand briefly how the system works and for whom it's designed. Product that would fit micro businesses,
стартапов, которые
small
не хотят
companies,
тратить много,
startups
не могут тратить там
that do not
большие
want
бюджеты
to
на
spend
экспертов,
much money
рекрутеров,
on
да,
experts and
тимлиды сами
recruiters,
выбирают, или сами стартаперы
and
выбирают
maybe those
персонал,
who
для них это подойдет.
recruit
Это
team leaders
такие
and
крупные
leads
компании
on their
и
own, or maybe major companies and
HR-департаментов,
heads
которые
of
хотят
HR departments who want to
оптимизировать,
optimize and streamline the
на
procedures and to reduce the
И для
load
кадровых агентств
on their
прекрасный инструмент, вы
employees.
руководите
And for
большими
HR
готовыми
companies,
резюме.
it's a wonderful
Вот,
instrument
пожалуйста,
because you would
есть
have
такой
to
инструмент.
work less with CVs
Сейчас,
manually.
собственно,
Да,
как это работает.
пока ты переключаешь, 10 минут у нас осталось.
So we have 10 minutes left.
Перед тем, когда ты
And
будешь...
here's a question before you show us the demo version. Why are you better than the rest of the market? What's the difference between you and the
В
rest?
том, что такого сервиса в России пока
There
нет.
is no such service in Russia.
В этом
That's the
новизна,
point.
свежесть и
That's the
функционал,
novelty.
наверное, есть главное отличие.
I
Значит, для начала мы
think this
должны
is where the
создать
main
описание
difference
вакансии.
lies.
Либо
First,
оно у нас уже есть, мы
you
загрузим.
can
Я пойду с нуля, нам,
describe the
допустим,
vacancy.
нужен,
And I'll start
не
from
знаю,
the scratch.
попробую DevOps, да, какой-нибудь, DevOps Team Lead, например.
Let's say
он предлагает.
DevOps Team
Система
Leader.
берет из ЦМК уже из модели компетенций все
And from the
профессии, которые
competence
там есть, то есть оно уже
models,
знает,
it singles out the professions that we need. It knows what we need. We just need to choose. So here we are, team lead.
Так, что у нас здесь есть? Интерфейс очень простой. У нас есть
What do we
здесь
have here?
задачи,
There's
то
a
есть
simple
функции,
interface. It has all the
которые
tasks
данные специалисты.
and functions of this certain expert. And then the
Эти
instruments, so the
прикладные
software,
решения он должен
the
владеть для того,
applied
чтобы выполнить эти
skills
задачи.
to
Мы
complete
берем,
certain tasks.
сейчас мы не будем глубоко входить в суть предмета, я
I'm
просто
not going to go into
перетащу сюда
details.
то, что нужно, вот таким
I'll
вот образом.
just
Обратите внимание,
track here what we need.
вот этот процент, это то,
Here's
что
a percentage point. That's what the digital competence model has. This is a distribution according to the market, how market assesses
функционала, да,
this
задачи,
functional, this task and its share,
в его востребованности на рынке.
and whether it's in demand on the market or not. We, from the 100% of the market,
Функционал востребован
this
ниже.
amount of percentage is in demand. So this is a hint for recruiters to assess how this could be applied to their certain vacancy. Same goes for the instruments. We have here instruments in need, for example, Java development. It's in demand. Then there are things that are less in demand, but it's all linked to the market.
Ему эту вакансию заполнить. Также у нас есть режим, то есть
Besides, there's a mode. Okay, so we drag here the competences that we need, and then there is a mode of a checkbox. It means that this certain skill would be verified. So the contender would have to ask questions formed by the system regarding this skill or a task.
Каким образом вы
So,
проводите в своей практике
how
администрирование
do you
системы?
administer systems in your practice, for example? And he has to answer this question as an audio message, and this would be recorded because it's the easiest format. As for video, people are more cautious about this, and with audios, it's easier. Voice messages. So then the lead listens to this voice message and tries to assess whether what he needs or not. But the recruiter himself doesn't need anything. It's just a pattern that he has to repeat all the time. You can rename some of the tasks, you can introduce your own ones. And now, let's try to have a look at
как происходит маппинг резюме.
mapping of CVs is happening.
Секунду. Так. Я возьму какую-нибудь, чтобы сейчас сэкономить время, ну, например, full stack team lead. Я возьму
To
какую-нибудь...
save time, I'll choose some of the vacancies.
Сейчас, извините, много окон.
I'm sorry, too many windows, and Zoom is not allowing me to
Все расставить правильно.
show it in a proper way. So full stack team lead. Yeah, here we are, we have a resume under consideration. So if here you have a vacancy, in this field you have a number that shows that we already have a CV that complies with the vacancies. Where do we get the resumes, the CVs? I'll be very brief. So we have an opportunity to upload to a CV. Besides, there is an import from the super job and other headhunting sources. You can do that from various web pages and communities. You can upload resumes, export them or import them, any digital footprints of candidates. So here you have 11 CVs, all of them are here. And you can open all of them, but the system has already ranked them. So this contender has best match, best chances. Perhaps he did not describe the tasks probably, but as for instruments, JavaScript and so on, so these are the instruments he knows how to use. So he has more matches, 5 out of 13. So according to instruments, he's a top-notch match. So the recruiter doesn't have to look at the bottom of the list. He can have a look at the first 5 contenders and thus would save his time without having to look into the CVs. So he would be filtering them out according to relevance. Okay, we have only 4 minutes left. We would still need 2 or 3 minutes for questions. So a couple of words on voice interview. I'll go through this quickly without going into details, otherwise we wouldn't have enough time. So if you are interested, I can tell you more about this personally. And you can contact me through Alexander.
Что мы поняли? Давайте кратенько итоги подведем. Первое, по Севилье.
Takeaways. As for Sevilla, this is an instrument that allows you to find
очень хорошо подходит по моему запросу.
People who can fit well to requirements. So I can find the best match from the market. Yeah, but the key difference is that don't pay attention to the name of the CV or the name of your position. He can be a nuclear physicist, but if he also mentions that he has JS, React, and Java, then that's great. He is a good match for us. So that's the essence, because very often in the description of vacancies and in the names of vacancies, there is some discrepancy. And here we try to find compatible skills, not names of CVs. So this is the main difference.
Всегда задают один и тот же вопрос мне, частенько, по крайней мере.
I receive one and the same question during conferences. How your system
разрыв происходит между теми специалистами, которые, скажем так,
can bridge the gap between the
на рынке, которые, скажем так, находятся
specialists who are looking for something, and I, as an employer, want to find someone
к моему запросу,
who fit my requirements, meet my requirements, but the higher educational systems, or let's say some courses, do not give enough skills. So is it possible to somehow combine, let's say connect universities and companies? Because we in company expect certain skills from students. But universities give
give a limited amount of skills to students, but can we somehow harmonize this and find candidates from the universities? It's a global problem.
Бутиковая история, да, то есть
Here it could be a niche
в рамках
story
одного конкретного запроса.
within
Но
one
университете 2035 это, собственно, и есть
request, but University 2035 is our main avenues of work. So on the one hand, we give companies opportunities to look for the candidates that they need. On the other hand,
профессии востребованы.
we tell them what professions are in demand, and our product lines show what is in demand. You also check against your current skill sets,
Или профили, перепрофилировать.
and we also suggest some additional trainings, vocational trainings for this specific person to receive the training and to acquire skills that the company needs. And this is not just one product, it's a family of products, it's a huge portfolio, and I believe that
Ну, если придем, то в следующем году, да.
maybe next year
Работа предстоит.
Ну,
there's
смотрите,
much to do.
время уже закончилось.
Okay, so we've run out of time. Vladimir Malyshev asks, how can one use Sevilla? Is there a link that we can show on the presentation, or maybe we can send it to our viewers?
Нет, я не смогу, потому что без подготовки
No, that's not possible to do this offhand. Let's just exchange our contacts. That would be easier. Okay, we'll do this through the organizers, and we'll be able to exchange contacts. Vladimir Malyshev and other viewers can find Alexander Galamov from University 2035,
Или каким-то другим способом.
someone on the web page, or you can find me, so we'll somehow exchange contacts.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you to viewers and organizers.
Встречи.
See you soon.
До свидания.
Every success.
Мы – транспортно-логистический холдинг «Российские железные дороги». Мы развиваем транспортную инфраструктуру страны, строим новые станции, вокзалы и создаем новые возможности для вашего бизнеса. Лучшие скоростные и высокоскоростные поезда сделают ваше путешествие комфортным и безопасным. Мы